Good evening. Welcome to the Highgate Selectboard meeting for Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. First item on the agenda is a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item up is public comment. Sue?
I have just one thing, but the tax bill's being mailed out. I'm still stressing people to come in and do a budget plan. Shelley told me today that she got a call and this person's coming in. Come in and talk to Shelley, set up a budget plan. If taxes are not gonna go down, with everything going up, come in and talk to Shelley. It's well, that's pretty much all I have to say.
Excellent advice. Thank you, Sue. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Town Clerk Wendy Tusbone.
Yes. You have minutes from September 18th.
You'll have a chance to review the minutes. There's only one correction I noted before the meeting. Just a grammatical error. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I have mostly just updates and events and coming out of our ears, but it's all good stuff. October 14th and 15th, we're going to have MBU student government classes coming through here as part of the curriculum of the semester. And as far as events, I have a whole pile of flyers here. The first one is Highgate Volunteer Fire Department will be hosting an open house on October 11th from 11 to 1, and that is culminating their week of, what are you doing this week at the schools? Fire Prevention Week. Thank you. Same day, same time, October 11th, 11 to 1 is Harvest Festival at Highgate Library and Community Center. So you can go from one to the other. Let's see. October 13th, we will be closed. Indigenous Peoples Day. So if you're dropping off tax payments and we are closed, we always encourage the drop box, which is located at the entrance and it's available 24/7. MBU's having a craft fair October 25th, 9 to 3. Trunk or treat. This is hosted by Highgate Rec and Highgate Library at the arena on Halloween from 5:30 to 7. It's usually super well attended. And a food truck is here. We have safety zone posters. Hunting season is here. We have a pretty good supply of these. Game Warden and Hungerford dropped us off a pretty healthy supply, so stop by and get them if you need them. We have Highgate Library and Community Center's Craft Fair, which will be November 15th at the school. I can't read this back. It's 9 to 3, I think it says. Same day, another craft fair at the Methodist Church, 9 to 2. And this one's kind of cool. Kids Entrepreneur Craft Fair at the Highgate Manor on November 15th from 10 to 2. Just kids, that's pretty great. So I'll do craft hopping that day. And there's another fundraiser for Mr. Barney at the Manor on November 1st. It looks like some music and a benefit for Jason Barney's cancer treatment and recovery. So that's a bunch of events we have going on. It's all great stuff. Highgate is a busy place. Ice contracts, we've gotten them all back, which is really good. Because the littles are on the ice, youth hockey has started. We've gotten Milton Youth back, Mohawk, Sassa. We've also gotten Milton High Schools back. We're just waiting on MBU boys and girls, ice rentals, and locker room contracts. They don't get on the ice until Thanksgiving. And they're recorded, and Shelley has them on file. I have some liquor license contracts that you'll need to go into the Liquor Control Board. Mary, help me out on this because they're for Stewart's, is it about the name change?
It is, when Stewart's bought us out in December, we were called Jolly Stewart's. Well, now that the conversions are happening, they had to change their license to say just Stewart's.
Okay, all right, so if you want to make a motion to come out and then go into the control board.
Okay, looking for motion to...
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so enter liquor control board.
I can't vote on that one.
Yeah.
Mary, you're recusing
I did,
yourself?
yep.
Okay. All right. So we have Stewart's Shops Corp. at 60 Gore Road. There is a second-class license, a tobacco license, and a tobacco substitute endorsement. You want to do one bulk motion for all of them?
Yeah, I think it's best to see. So looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Perfect, so I'm done if you want to come out of liquor and back into liquor.
All right.
I'll make a motion to come out of the liquor, go back into regular meeting.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's it for me.
Up next, Town Treasurer Shelley Rush.
The check mark should be in front of you then. It's in the back, I'm sorry.
You all had a chance to review the check warrant? Need a motion to approve the check warrant.
I'll make that motion.
Doesn't matter which one.
In a second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, while you are signing that, a couple quick updates. Delinquent taxes are a little higher this year than I would have liked to have seen before rolling into another tax year, but it is $78,787.81. We are still in tax sale process, and there are, I believe, 5 properties still moving forward on the list, with the others have entered a payment plan with the knowledge of if they are late or miss a payment, they are automatically back on the tax sale list. So far, so good. Taxes. Tax bills were mailed on the 25th, last Thursday. If your neighbor is Canadian, please have them reach out to me, as there is a postal strike and they will not receive the bill. Happy to email it, but we do not have contact information other than addresses. So just a little information about that. We are collecting a total of $8,879,022.58. 5.6 million of that will be sent to the school after we are done. And as of this moment in time, we have 1.4 collected. 951,000 of that is homestead declarations directly paid from the state. So we've collected just under $500,000 from our residents thus far. It's been slow and steady, and I know it will pick up and be very busy in the next couple of weeks. The due date is the 30th at 4 p.m. in this office. If you are late, you are late. And unfortunately, there is nothing that can be done after that time. So please get in here on time before the due date. And that is all you have from me, unless you need something else.
I don't think we need
That's all I
anything else.
have.
Anything else for Shelley? All right, moving on to Town Administrator Freddie Hayes.
Thanks for keeping it together last time when I was sick, so appreciate that. So I have 3 spots right now: Highgate project update, grant administrator, and standards. Just a polite reminder that if you have something that you want to ask the select board, bring to the select board's attention, etc., I would be happy to receive that complaint, question, comment, all of the above, get that to them, or help you address it before we go to select board with it. So things like the Highgate Falls Bridge. I'm working with VTrans to see where we can figure out how to make it's on a replacement list, but we're just not there yet. And so how do we fit that into their budget, and like, what's the best solution that we can get to? Because some of these, traffic safety, speeding, a lot of things that we can. Thanks, John, for taking all my calls and emails for that. I can get them to who they need to go to, get some research on them, and so if it does end up needing to be a select board agenda item that we motion on or whatever, I can get all of that research done before, so we don't have to delay anything. And I also have community resources beyond what the select board and the town of Highgate can do. So if you see something, say something. Call the sheriff's office if you really need to or want to. Sure. I'm looking to John for the people who can't see. He's the sheriff. And yeah, just give me a holler anytime. My phone, my office phone goes directly to my email if you leave a voicemail. Email's great. Letters, perfect. Postcards, fantastic. Love them. So that's just a polite reminder. I'm happy to get issues that maybe kind of urgent a little bit further along before the next select board meeting. Second to that, got some project updates for you guys. So airport water and wastewater, our construction is complete. So hopefully you will not see any more crews out on 78. But if you do, please be considerate and don't hit them with your car. And then folks looking to hook on to the system will be needing to go through the Village of Swanton specifically, and if applicable, talk to their VTrans contact, because people will lease with the state along that road. But anybody else would be looking to go to the Village of Swanton as they're doing our administrative work per our MOU agreement that you guys signed last time. The arena renovation is in full swing, as many of you have seen. Please park at the elementary school when you can. We really appreciate your patience because it was a little bit of a quick kind of turnaround for our construction, and we really appreciate DEW for the work that they're doing. But yeah, hopefully we can get the building a little bit more heat and electric efficient before November hits. So that should be good. And then again, additional parking. If you are able to walk or able to drop off and walk, the Highgate commuter lot is also an option. So lots of places to park. We have, so last week we had a meeting on the 23rd. Was that last week? I don't know what day it is.
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday. We had a meeting on the 23rd about the village core cleanup. And so that encapsulates everything we're doing with the quote Steinhauer or Meishi hotel property. Also, like the street address is 14 Sycamore. If you see people over there, it's probably one of us. We are working with federal, state, and regional folks to get that project off the ground. And there's a couple parts to it, so there's probably people taking pictures and measuring and all of that fun stuff. So, you know, don't be alarmed, but if you want to ask, call the office. I'm happy to make sure that the people who are over there are the people who are supposed to be over there. We've also, may have noticed, we put out an RFP for the demolition services, so share that. We would love to hear that. That has no abatement on it. So just demolition, just residential demolition. And then we had a umbrella application go out, which is a public notice. We'll have a public comment period about that. We'll have additional public comment and like community engagement meetings regarding the memorialization of the Steinhauer or Meishi hotel property, and basically going to figure out what the town wants to do in terms of recognizing the history of it and how we can get that all together with the help of the state. I know I'm just really rambling off on here, so I really appreciate you guys. We've got, so Meishi Road being stabilization, that study and project has been going on for a really long time. People have been asking me about what the whole deal with that is. We're expecting to have our study of the bank stabilization done. Typically, it'll take 4 weeks after we get a report for the presentation, but we're expecting to have that come back before the end of the calendar year. That's being done by Geodesign, and that's been a long process to get all of that together. So we're really grateful for Vermont Emergency Management for those grants. The bridge repairs, again, and some other road work and traffic safety stuff. So I'm currently in contact with VTrans, so Vermont Transportation Department, essentially. about a variety of items. We've got a lot of calls and a lot of emails going back and forth right now about basically if we could set up a standard operating procedure and SOP for how we deal with signage in Highgate, how we deal with traffic calming and safety and all of that, all of those fun stuff. And it's actually a project that VLCT has talked with us about working together with, because there is some other towns and villages and cities across the state of Vermont who are also looking to do a standard operating procedure, because there's just not that at the municipal level, especially because everything is so unique, and there's going to need to be some flexibility involved there. But yes, we are working with VTrans. It is a government-to-government conversation, so it may be a little bit slower than you're expecting, because that's just the speed of government, and we're working as fast as we can. And then our final one is Northwest Access. They are installing a remote camera system in this room. We think it's going to be in this back corner. We're working on it. It's coming, so if you see any construction, that's probably what we're doing. We really appreciate them including us in this kind of first figuring out how that will work for them. That'll just help on their ability to get people out to each individual meeting. And then if we have additional meetings that we want to record or have publicized, we're able to have them remotely instead of having to make sure all the schedules work out. So that's a fantastic addition to the project list that we've got going on. That's all I have really got, other than, again, contact me if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns. I'm happy to get it either to the select board or address it right off the bat. That's exactly what I'm here for. Grant administrator, just a little bit kind of a notice rather than an announcement or anything. So part of the budget that was approved for the grant administrator position under, I guess, the office budget.
It's under the administrative,
Yeah,
department.
so part of that is going to go towards a contract with NRPC for them to help us do wastewater, water, village crew cleanup, all the whole 9 yards. Grant work that we're currently going through. There's a lot more that we got to go through, a lot more applications. So we're really appreciative on that. There will be a secondary person who will take up the rest of that contract amount, not contract amount, line item amount. And we do not, there's a couple people that we're having conversations with who are doing consulting of this type, who will be doing grant applications and administrative work that will just cover the kind of basics while we get caught up with what we're doing right now, and hopefully, I don't know, maybe a new fire truck, something. But yeah, so that'll be an additional person. You probably won't see them around the office, but we hope that that will help. And that is it. Thanks, guys.
We'll say that you certainly have a full plate of what you're doing. Okay. Moving on to select board items. First up is Franklin County Sheriff John Griswold. Welcome.
Good evening, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
You want to get...
No, I'll just get after it. So, in speaking with Freddie, she had asked me if I would come and just talk about some of the things that are happening in Highgate, and then be available to entertain any questions or concerns that you all might have. I'm not sure what all of your feelings have been about crime rates and traffic and all those kinds of things, but I can tell you that we're not seeing anything that's really dramatically different than it's always been. So speeding continues to be an issue. I was interviewed by the St. Louis Messenger about it a couple of weeks ago, that it is, I think folks are now getting to the point where we're finally frustrated with the amount of speeding, the amount of burnouts, the amount of just abhorrent traffic behavior that exists on our roadways. And really since COVID, that has existed. And there's a lot of contributing factors, and probably the biggest factor is just lack of law enforcement. There's a lot less of us than there has been in years past. So that's just a reality that we're dealing with. And I've spoken with a lot of folks around the county that have been very candid in saying, well, yeah, I know I'm not going to see a cop, so I don't mind speeding a little bit. Well, that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that that's pretty rampant throughout the county. So Highgate is really is in no worse of a condition or state as any other town that we patrol or provide services for. Keep in mind that we're in town 40 hours a week. So there's a big block of hours that we're not covering. But based on what I'm aware of, we're not seeing anything different than the state police are seeing. So things are okay. You know, nobody needs to be worried about an increase in crime rates and things like that. I've pushed my folks to be more aggressive with motor vehicle enforcement, and that's largely in response to a lot of the concerns that we receive from members of the community. So one of the things that maybe you're not aware of that I've kind of controlled myself is that I manage the schedule, and I'm the one that receives all the complaints from the public. It doesn't go to anybody else. We have a generalized mailbox, and if I'm not called directly or if I don't get information through the select board, they come into our kind of our tips section, our contact us section. I field all of those directly, and the reason is, there's many reasons, but one of them is I want to make sure that I can keep my finger on the pulse of what's happening directly. I'm the one that will respond back to you all and communicate with you all and try to flesh out those issues that you might have. The other thing the reason I do that is I also manage the schedule. So it's just very easy for me to customize our schedule based on the needs of the community. And we've done that a number of times, not just at Highgate, but in other parts that we provide services for. Whether that means changing our days, changing our hours, focusing on certain areas versus other areas, those are things that we do to be very responsive to the concerns that folks have. We've also created an interactive map and have mapped out all of those concerns or all of those what we call focus areas on a visual map, on a Google map, so that our folks can monitor that stuff real time. So they all have in-car cruiser systems, computer systems, and they can pull it up and see exactly what's going on, so that they come in and start their shift, and if I didn't get a chance to communicate it and I put it on there and I implemented a new area to focus on, it's all there for them at their fingertips. So when they go into a particular area of coverage, they can look it up and see what those areas are. And that all comes from either select board concerns or members of the public that have communicated certain issues with areas. So we map it out. We tell them what the issue is, where the concerns are, their date and times, their particular interests, things like that, so that we can be very responsive to, again, the concerns that we get in a more real-time fashion and make it efficient for our deputies to identify that information and then address those issues. We share that with the state police as well. So we're not living in a vacuum with this great technology that we're not sharing. We collaborate on issues throughout the county many, many times in a week, and this is a tool that we've shared with them so that they can have access to it as well. And if an issue comes in through them, so for example, the station commander might receive an issue with the state police and communicate that to me, I'll put that on. I don't need to get it directly, but I'll put that on a focus area so that it'll be much more collaborative in the areas of focus that we need to address. So we're really looking at it kind of collectively, right? I mean, there are many facets to it, but we're trying to look at these issues more collectively and more universally so that we're not living in one area and the state police living in another area where we're sharing that information as real time as we can. So again, there's no real concerns that anybody needs to be aware of. ATV complaints remain incredibly low from what I would have expected, being that we're opening up the roads. Now, historically, ATVs have been a problem here. They've been a problem in every community. We had a case just the other day where 3 individuals tried to outrun us on Frontage Road and neglected that to think about good old-fashioned police work finding them, and we arrested one of them for DUI and wrote a handful of tickets to the other 2. So we are addressing those issues when we can. ATVs are a challenge because we won't pursue them. We'll follow them, we'll try to identify them, but the standard practice in the state of Vermont is to not pursue or not engage in pursuits with ATVs for many reasons. So, but it doesn't mean that we won't do our best to try to identify who they are. If we can get clothing descriptions, if we can get pictures of any identifiable marks on the ATVs, then we'll address it. The other thing that I wanted to share with you all is that, and Freddie talked about a partnership with V-Trans, we're embarking on a partnership with them as well to address rail trail issues. So they're finding that there's a big concern, as we've known this all along, that there's a big concern with motorized vehicles on the rail trail. And not just ATVs, vehicles, cars, trucks are very problematic. So, and they're damaging the roadways in addition to being a safety concern for pedestrians and bicyclists. So we're going to be entering into an agreement with them where we're going to be providing some patrols on those. We have a side-by-side, we have an outfit, we have a recreational enforcement unit that will go out and address the these issues real time. And so we'll partner and collaborate with Fish and Game, right? They're a pretty big partner with ATV enforcement, so we'll collaborate with them and address these issues. That hopefully will be next year or so, by the time that they can allocate funding and things like that for us. But we've addressed it, we're continuing to address it. I've worked with Freddie to allocate hours, patrol hours that we've kind of shifted to deal with just ATVs and have gone out and done specific ATV patrols with some of those town hours. So we'll continue to do that. We're still a big participant and player in the Governor's Highway Safety Project. For those of you that don't know what that is, that's money that comes also through V-Trans. It's federal money that allows law enforcement entities to provide additional resources to motor vehicle enforcement. So we will do that as well. There's 3 buckets. There's a distracted driving, there's an occupation or an occupancy protection component, and then a DUI component. So we're probably one of, if not the biggest player in that in the state of Vermont, utilizing those fundings. So we'll do that to supplement the traffic enforcement initiatives in the community. We've done a lot in Highgate. We've spent a lot of hours, supplement this. That's no direct cost to any of the taxpayers here, but it is money that comes out of the federal and international highway safety transportation, whatever that is, that comes out of those fundings so that we can provide some supplementary enforcement activities throughout the county. Okay?
Vern?
Take a breath.
Yeah. What do you got? That's pretty good. It's Thursday afternoon. Done this before.
Yeah. Do we have any way of projecting that email that I sent the other day with the burnouts? The pictures? I think you got it, right? Sure, okay.
Not
There's,
in a way that shows every other email I've ever received or
okay,
gotten.
never mind. But you're aware of the burnouts that...
And they're everywhere.
Yeah, and they're everywhere, and I was surprised when I looked at one the other day, I thought I saw piles of rubber on the road. It wasn't rubber, he actually spun out so much, it ate up the pavement, they were spitting pavement out.
Yep.
So now they're making divots in the pavement. Now, I think it's called scarifying the pavement.
Right. Yep.
What's the penalty on that when they get caught?
It's additional fines, but the town can seek reimbursement for re-asphalting.
Okay.
So damage from the roadway is a ticket that we can issue. A civil ticket is nowhere near enough to cover repairing the roadway. And this actually came up in Fairfax. We had, there's a semi-condoned practice of letting the high schoolers do burnouts after graduation in Fairfax. They were damaging the roadway. So we tried to push the select board to entertain how much does it cost, and it was well above $50,000 per location that got damaged because they were doing the same thing. It melts away, the asphalt creates a problem, that will erode and erode and erode, and then create even bigger problems. So, but that's something that you all, as the select board, as owners of that road or managers of the road, provided it's not a state road, have the ability to do, and we're happy to help out with that. So if we catch those folks and they are in fact damaging the roadways, you can seek monetary reimbursement for that.
Okay.
Yep, they can be charged criminally for that as well. Be unlawful mischief.
Just put it on the record. You've been notified, you got the pictures. There's a neighborhood watch up there now. It's just a matter of somebody getting video of the offenders, which we know two of them are. It's just a matter of catching up doing it. But they seem to do
Plate
it.
numbers, descriptions, all of those.
They seem to do it every night. There's fresh ones every day. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And they go to new places, and we're doing our best to try to be around and to catch them. It's a challenge there, but it's everywhere. Everywhere in Franklin County you go, it doesn't take more than a couple of miles of driving before you're going to come across them. And I don't know what's going on. Tires are expensive.
That's what I was thinking the same thing. These are young kids. Tires
I don't
are
know
very
what the hell's
expensive.
going on with people
I don't
who
get
just
it.
burn tires. Yep, I don't understand it, but we'll address it, and we'll be very swift and very aggressive, and once we catch these folks, then we'll make sure that it's an impactful interaction for sure.
Much appreciated. I get that.
How is Fish and Game funded when you work with them?
How are they funded?
Like if you were to ask them to participate in something in Highgate, how is that funded through Fish and Game?
So they're a state entity like the state police, so right? So it's the general fund, the general taxpayer, as I understand it, right? Maybe Lisa knows more about how that's funded than I do, but that's basically how it works. Yep.
So are you limited in how much we can call on them for?
I'm not real familiar with what their operating procedures are and protocols are. They've been a great resource for us when it comes to that because they have ATVs and they use ATVs to, do their fish and game enforcement. So they've always been a great resource, and snowmobiles as well. So they've been a great kind of recreational enforcement partner for us over the years. So I'm not sure how they're funded, and I think that, speaking with the V-Trains contact that I have, it sounds like they're going to allocate money for them as well. So I don't know if that will be like an overtime opportunity for some of the game wardens. I'm not really sure how that would work.
They helped out with the abandoned boat.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they're a great resource. But they're thin too, so but if we can collaborate on all of these, types of concerns, particularly with ATVs or sports automobiles, then it's just more folks out there that can enforce these the laws that we have.
Ty, did you have a question?
Yeah, I got a couple. John, do you have a detective or a street crime unit currently?
We do not have a street crime unit now.
You do have a detective?
We have somebody that does detective work, yes.
Okay.
We don't have a detective per se. There isn't a need for a full-time detective for us.
So, some of the things that we're seeing St. Albans PD press release about are happening in our community, obviously. Where's Highgate get the coverage for those types of crimes that are going on?
So that's a great question. So we actually have partnership in the Vermont Drug Task Force. So what that is, if you're not familiar with, but that is a joint law enforcement initiative that addresses some of the more higher levels of drug trafficking. So whereas the street crimes unit, and I don't know the specifics about it, they're more at the street level. So more of that hand-to-hand dealing, use and abuse kind of thing. They certainly will delve into some of the bigger areas, but the Vermont Drug Task Force looks at kind of the bigger fish. So that's something that we've got a detective sergeant that's involved in that. In that initiative. So what that is for us is it brings those resources to Franklin County, right? So that we now have somebody that can focus on these things county-wide. And what's really interesting, a lot of people don't know this, but what's really interesting and very beneficial about that partnership is that is a very large joint partnership. So it's not just members of Vermont law enforcement, it's Homeland Security Investigations, FBI, DEA, ICE, like all of the different players that come into play so that we can combat some of these bigger drug trafficking organizations, DTOs, on a more holistic, more comprehensive basis.
So would the calls still go to the tip line or to you?
Yep, it would. Sure would, yep. And we'll see that too. If we seized a car the other day that we took meth out of. And for those of you that don't know what meth does in the community, it has been said to me before that if you have a meth problem, you wish you had your heroin problem back. So we're starting to see that. That's concerning, but it's very, very little. It's very isolated. It's something that we need to worry about right now. But it always is one of those things when you start hearing that, it's kind of like, crap, right? So, but what that does is that when we start to identify those, then we'll start pushing on the people that we arrested for that. Some of them will flip. Maybe they'll become now informants. Maybe then we'll hand them off to the task force, and they'll cultivate. Leads will cultivate some investigative techniques through them to try to get after where's this coming from, who's bringing it to our communities, and then going after the players that are really responsible for this. So that's kind of how that works for us. Thank you.
The other question I had was, I don't know if it was a change in how your department, if somebody left or something, but used to see a lot more press release from your department, whether on social media or your website. And tonight I looked just so I didn't spread something wrong or ask the wrong question. And the last one was February 28th of this year.
On the website?
Yes.
Yeah. So, or on Facebook?
On the website.
On the website. So, press releases are a little bit of a precarious thing for us. That's, first of all, you're right, we need to get a lot better at doing it. And we've started to get better at doing that in the last couple of months. If it were to, one, we'll push out a lot, they won't ever make it to the video. We had actually a burglary in Highgate just the other day where it's a very well-known person that broke into a house, and I put it all out there and not one media entity picked it up. And it was, I thought, a pretty juicy story because this person has been arrested, I don't know, 100 times for retail theft, or for burglary, or for drugs, or whatever, and it's kind of a good example of how this kind of revolving it's just like this, but they didn't want it. It just wasn't grabby, I guess, enough. But so we are trying to get better at that, at pushing out releases. We stopped doing that on Facebook because it just turned into media opportunity for keyboard warriors to just be horrible. And you know, and people need to be treated innocent until proven guilty. And that's always a spot that has been kind of, obviously near and dear to my heart, but there's been a challenge because I don't like those. I don't like putting them out there and then seeing how people just get destroyed on social media. And I know how that feels like. So I've been very reluctant to do those on the social media platforms, but on the media platforms, like those static things like our website or pushing them out to media, those are things that we will continue to do. We're not doing the DLSs or the DUIs, but the bigger cases, the cases that are more notable, we'll certainly be trying to do a much better job about pushing those out. Like we had one where somebody stole a outboard motor, and we caught him within minutes of stealing the outboard motor, and that was right over here. So things like that we're trying to get better about pushing out.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
For the limited amount of hours you guys patrol that we can contract you for, I wish we could contract you for more, but you guys do a lot of that. I appreciate it.
We're happy to. It's a great community to be in, right? It's a busy enough community so our folks aren't getting bored, but it's not overwhelming where we feel like we're being unsuccessful and just, kind of chasing taillights all day. So, last thing I'll leave you with is please communicate issues. I think Highgate's really good about that. Friday and I talked pretty regularly about concerns that come up. Mary and we traded some communications just the other day about a concern. Please share those. That's very important to how we do what we do, and why we have the luxury of keeping our bureaucracy in the office very small so that we can respond to things very quickly. And there's been a number of cases, not just in Highgate, but throughout Franklin County where we'll receive an issue and I'll get on the radio and direct somebody to it that time. Like as soon as I get it, they're moving to deal with it. If it's a speeding issue, well, somebody said, hey, there's a speeding, I've got a cruiser sitting in the driveway within an hour. And that's a luxury that we have, and I'm happy to boast that because that's one of the things that makes partnerships like ours really good and fun, really. So communicate those issues to us. Pictures, we talked about a little bit before, pictures, videos, anything identifiable, license plates, wonderful. I want to make sure that we understand to get past this illusion that the police can't do anything or won't do anything. We can always do something. Even if it's just like, hey, we know it's Timmy Smith's kid that's doing the burnouts. We'll go talk to him. We'll put them on notice, we'll walk to the dooryard and we'll have body cams and we'll see, well, there's a truck and those are tires. And so the next time, we've got more ammunition to move forward with. Plus, these folks don't want to get caught. And then once they know that we know that what they're doing, they're going to be a lot less likely to cause these kinds of problems in the community. So I always encourage people to communicate that. We have on our website, there's a contact us, you can do it anonymously if you want. Let us know what's going on and give us a chance to really address these issues. It's important to us, it's important to all of you, so please do that.
Yeah, is there a way that Wednesdays, once hockey season starts, Wednesdays and I think Saturdays are the big times, to get somebody to patrol that Gore Road? I come down through there and there's kids on both sides of the road and they're coming off that Gore Road and they ain't slowing up. I just, and you get some of them big games where the school parking lot's full and they're walking out there and they're coming up Gore Road there and the kids, just being kids, but them cars are coming off that Gore Road. And I noticed a couple times last year, you guys did stop a couple and that was that makes me nervous right around that time.
I've seen them. I've seen them all the time from the hockey games, and I've seen them park over here at 12 o'clock, coming back from the hockey games.
Yeah.
I've seen them after the hockey games.
Sure thing.
You got anything else? Great.
Well, I'll
Thank you.
say,
Thank you.
for my interactions with your deputies, they're professional, they're courteous, and they're motivated. And you've got a lot to be proud of in that department, and we're very grateful to have you here.
I'll share those sentiments with them as well. I try to be on top of it, and that's what we appreciate it.
I see you guys around a lot, different spots. Great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Moving on to Lisa Hengo.
Yeah, I can't top that. It's actually really informative for me to sit here and listen to what's going on in the community. So basically, our district mate, Wayne Rush, and I just wanted to come and say hi to everybody and hear what you all are talking about on a monthly basis. Freddie keeps me in the loop when she needs to, but really just being here and hearing the conversation is very helpful to us. If you have any questions for us, we're here to try to answer them. If you have any concerns that you need addressed at the state level, we're always here for you. We're just a phone call away. In case you don't know, this past year our committee assignments changed a little bit. Wayne's on appropriations now in the House, and I am on government operations and military affairs, which is not different from where I was 2 years ago, but I do have a position of leadership on that committee now as vice chair. So that is your municipal government committee, by the way. So anything that touches municipal government goes through my committee. So anything you all need to know, anything you've been hearing about that you want us to know, is really why we're here.
How much time you got?
As much time as you want to take.
I got one great. My daughter, 24 years old, was over last night. We were talking gas prices in the state of Vermont. Why are they so stagnant? I travel a lot. I see gas prices going down everywhere else. They have moved maybe a nickel in the last year. And they just go back and forth a nickel. They never really go down. What is up with that?
So that's not really something that's set by the state. That's all contracts by the big oil companies with the dealers who reside in the state. What we set is tax rates, basically. Tax rates on fuel, I don't think have changed a whole lot, but it's those contracts that are being negotiated between the dealers who are buying fuel and the big providers. We noticed the same thing. My constituents in Berkshire have said the same exact thing to me, like, what is up with that? I can go to Southern Vermont and buy gas for, $2.79, and it's $3.29 here. So I guess that's the kind of thing you have to talk to your fuel station owners about and see what they're getting for
I can't answer that, above my pay grade.
And you're going to say, or you're going to hear when you talk to those fuel station owners, that they're pretty much given one option and there's no competition. So that's an issue.
Okay.
And it's part of the overall unaffordable aspect of living in Vermont, which is unfortunate because we do depend on our fossil fuels heavily for heating and driving our vehicles to get where we need to go.
I'll just mention, people are using less gas than they used to. Cars are more efficient. The taxes, the gasoline taxes going into the state revenues are dropping. And right now, in last memo I got from the Appropriations Committee, it's that V-Trans is going to be laying off some people because of lost revenue. And there's also some federal money being not coming in because some of the changes going on. So those are, and then touched on competition. We don't have as much competition as we did maybe 40, 50 years ago.
I got another question. My other favorite subject every time our state reps show up is the Affordable or the Clean Heating Act. I hear a little bit on talk radio about where that's at. Is there going to be an up or down vote on that, or is this just going to drag on forever?
Right now, I think it's pretty much dead.
Really?
We were supposed to have the up or down vote last session, and
it never got brought back up because the majority rule didn't have the votes to support it. They realized that maybe they overstepped the boundaries a little bit, and so all the protesting that went on, all the lobbying that went on, I think was successful in putting the brakes on that.
So some of the Democrats, we've got a lot more members than we had before with the 36. So we can uphold any veto if the government doesn't. So with 56, that's not enough to win. We can't make anything pass. But if some of those Democrats came with us on something like they're getting pressured on the clean heat standard, and enough of them came with us, and they must have felt that might happen, and that's why they didn't put it on the floor for the vote.
And I think that was the big win for all Vermonters last session. Instead of being driven by one political party, there's now dialogue. And if the party that's in the majority realize that they have enough opposition that they can't just railroad something through and override vetoes, then they actually have to come to the table and negotiate. And I think that's a big win for all Vermonters. It doesn't matter what political party you belong to.
There was a question about funding Fish and Wildlife funding. I used to be, of course, on the Fish and Wildlife Commissioner for 8 years. So the bulk, probably around half the money comes to Fish and Wildlife license sales. And then Pittman Robertson and Dingle Johnson has the fish, Dingle Johnson, the wildlife hunting and supplies. So there's an excise tax that at the producer level, at the company levels, that pays money on those sales. So that money comes in. So that's Pittman Robertson and Johnson. So that's another large portion of the money that they receive. So it's hunting and fishing pays for most of it. The general fund is a little bit of general fund money. Maybe a couple, $2-3 million, something like that. It's like a tenth of the whole budget. And so that Dingle Johnson and the Fish and Wildlife money has to be used for fish and wildlife things. It can't be used for traffic control or other things. So the money, so a certain amount of money has been dedicated for them to work on ATV, snowmobile, ATV enforcement for law enforcement too. But not a lot, and they can't just use any money that they have. It has to be that specific money that they can use.
And this is why I'm really glad that my district mate is Wayne, because he is the fish and wildlife expert and I am not. So it's really helpful.
It was, and you get rusty.
Lisa,
Yes, Richard,
let's talk education.
let's talk education. Right now, there's not a lot to talk about because there aren't a lot of facts. So what's your question?
What's your feeling about getting rid of these smaller schools and combining them with these bigger schools in these bigger districts, and even going with these small schools in these big districts? You know, like when our district here, I know there was some talk with Chittenden County going in there, and how can we be with Chittenden County? You know, it just doesn't.
So if you all don't know the backstory, Richard and I have been butting heads over this for many years. And right now, I'm with you, Richard, because people have already realized that MVSD can't be lumped in with Chittenden County. Can't happen. Your board, your school board, is doing a really good job right now of trying to figure out what is best for Highgate, Franklin, Swanton. I really admire the work they're doing. My district over in the other side of Franklin County is pretty much sitting back and waiting to see what happens right now. Your district is actually proactively asking if any neighbors want to partner with them. So I think that's really good that they're engaging in these conversations. So the task force that was set up by the law that passed, which is Act 73, that task force has met since August. I think they've had 4 meetings, and they have come up with, as of yesterday or today, one potential map that draws new districts. And the map that they came up with yesterday is all based on tech centers. So the new district would be with the tech center as its focus point, and all the schools that feed into that tech center, that would be one district. And that map, I think, has 14 districts, because there's one tech center for every county, I believe, or 13. I can't remember if Grand Isle was in with somebody else. But they're supposed to come up with up to 3 maps, 1, 2, or 3 maps to present to the legislature. Nothing the task force is working on is going to be permanent. It has to come to the legislature. All 180 legislators have to vote on it. So there's going to be a lot of give and take, just like any other bill that comes through the legislature. It's probably going to change. Like if there are 3 maps, they're probably going to look a little bit different by the time that all the legislators vote on it, because it has to go through the committee process, and the committee has to pick apart why they chose this town to be part of this district or this map to look the way it looks. So right now there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear. This task force was not given the power to close anybody's school. I just want people to know that, because that is really important, and that's what most communities are afraid of right now, is that their school is going to get closed. This is not giving anybody license to close any school. Closing a school will be up to the school board, and if it's written into your agreement, the voters in that district. And that is something that would happen much farther down the line. School districts will be given 2 years to prove that their average daily class size is at the level that whatever the legislature sets. It's not anything that's going to happen right away. I believe that if a school closes, the handwriting is going to be on the wall pretty far in advance, and that town or those towns in that district are going to understand that they're serving 20 kids, and it just can't pay to keep those schools open. Schools like around here, they're not small enough. I don't believe there will be schools around here that the boards are going to decide to close. I would be surprised. Our population here is growing. I've seen projections of what Franklin's going to look like, what Montgomery's going to look like, and everyone is projecting population growth in our part of the state. Southern part of the state's a little bit different story. They have other challenges. But if we can continue to be economically viable and be communities where people want to live, we're going to have school kids, and we're not going to lose school population. So in a nutshell, Richard, I don't have an answer, but I'm with you that I don't think we need to be lumped in Chittenden County. I don't think we're going to be.
I think it's just,
That's a good thing.
that was the first idea was just thrown out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was thrown out there. My political instinct is they threw us in there with Chittenden County just so it would get us wired up a little bit.
Yeah, it worked out well. Yeah, I think you're right.
You understand that. You like to get people wound up.
Yes, he does.
So a follow-up to that, you said, how do you see this law saving any money?
Actually, that's a really good question. I was on a Vermont School Boards Association member meeting the other night because I am a school board member. And the co-chairs of the task force were asked the exact same question, and they've all sort of looked and said it probably won't be about saving money. Just like any other act that has been passed, that was supposed to save money. Nobody's really convinced that this is going to save a lot of money. In theory, the overhead of each supervisory district or supervisory union office, if some of those are eliminated, because there's 62 of them right now in the state, SDs and SUs, if some of those are eliminated, then obviously that staff will no longer be employed at those jobs and those won't be expenses. However, bigger districts are going to take some more people to run them. So there'll be added cost there. So whether it saves a significant amount of money, Ty, or not, I really couldn't tell you.
But then on the other hand, we have an average of 3.6 adults per classroom, which is about the highest in the top few in the country.
Yes.
That needs to be a discussion in terms of how many employees we have going forward, I think. And if it comes into my committee, we'll have those kind of discussions.
And
Of course, those numbers are going to go up too with continued growth too, here in the next few years.
Classroom size is going to be limited, and they already got some numbers for classroom size. When I went to school, we had 30 kids in the classroom with one teacher and 2 classes, right? Now we've got 3.6 adults in the classroom with a number that's less than the 30 by a long shot. So, yeah, we got all kinds of social issues today and other things going on, but we should have a discussion, I think, in the grand scheme of things, everybody, in terms of really what should we be prioritizing in our education system. And I kind of like to see reading, writing, and arithmetic to start with. And we were mediocre. The last test just came out, put us way down in the middle of the pack, where we used to be at the top of the pack. So we've been spending more and more money, putting more and more people in the schools, in our education level, or our competency level of our kids is dropping.
Yeah.
Well, we're not getting cost benefit.
You're not getting your bang for your buck.
Right.
That needs to be a big discussion.
Sure.
And I know that school boards are working really hard to see where they can consolidate positions or trim positions. The days of the ARPA and the ESSER monies are all going away there. And school boards are having to make decisions now about whether to keep some of the extra programs and extra staff that they hire during those times with that federal money. So the discussions that I've heard are about really crucial things, like are we going to continue to feed the children who are on free and reduced lunch? Yes, we are going to continue to fund that, no matter how we have to fund it, because those kids won't learn unless they get food. So there are some other positions that maybe aren't going to continue to be filled.
So Lisa, you're talking about hot lunch. I know there's some schools that the whole school gets.
Yes.
free lunch. Will that go away back to the way it was, reduced, reduced, and then the kids that have to pay full pay, will that go back?
I don't know. That's a big debate, and I think it depends on what happens with the federal shutdown and also the state budget. So right now we fund universal school meals, which is everybody is getting all of their meals without having to pay. But whether that can continue or not, and I'm not sure the dollar amount, so I can't quote the dollar amount on it.
That's what, since there's about 3 different pots of money, it's hard to round it up to find out what the dollar amount is.
So I don't know if it will continue, Richard, but it is a point of conversation. It's a conversation worth having because there are ways around funding everybody's meals every day, but there have to be certain things in place so that children aren't stigmatized, that nobody knows who's getting a free lunch and who isn't, because that was the big reason why that was put into place.
But in terms of cost, taxes keep going up.
Right.
And even this year, they went up a little bit, we dumped a whole bunch of money to keep it from going up a lot more of state dollars were dumped in there this year.
But is it going up because of the lunches, or there's other things that are making it?
The whole system, So I want to see some cost efficiency and effectiveness. I think it needs to be controlled.
Yeah.
It's not controlled, it's been going up at a greater rate than inflation right along with our education costs. If we don't control that, it will eat up everything. We're $2.1 billion, $2.3 billion in educating 83,000 students this year. Well,
Do you think there's enough oversight?
well, we got a lot of oversight. The question is, are we asking the right questions?
Yeah, and I think we're not addressing the actual drivers of these costs, and most of it is personnel, most of it is benefits, like healthcare. That's the biggest driver right now, is these double-digit healthcare increases every year. And that's something we're all seeing, whether you're a teacher, a taxpayer, whatever you are, we're all seeing our healthcare costs go up. You're really fortunate if you have not experienced like a huge increase in your healthcare premiums in the last few years. And that's one of the biggest drivers of school costs going up. It's not necessarily programs like universal school meals, which is probably a drop in the bucket compared to the big picture.
The universal school bills, I just looked it up, says 18.5 million.
I was going to say 18 million. I think that there are other programs that also funnel into school food programs. So that's probably not the whole cost of feeding every student every day, because there are other grants and things that are feeding into that.
The buses going around all summer long, that was actually what was going in the past.
Yeah, that was probably ARPA money that was used.
So that's right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they stopped the program.
Right.
Are you talking about the one where if a kid wants, I know in the summer, kids are allowed to come in and if they want to get a lunch, they can come and get it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're?
Yeah, some of the summer feeding programs are funded by grants. Well, they're all funded by grants. But some of the grants have gone away. So not all of the meal sites that did exist were feeding students this past summer. There were some that were closed.
So what we have to watch out for is, you have all this federal money, ARPA money, so you set up a program with that going forward. People want that program to continue, all of a sudden this federal money goes away. So what does that do? All of a sudden we're paying for it. So you have to watch that. And the next thing you know, that starts eating us up and their budgets start going up and their taxes go up because we have to pay it. It's not coming out of the federal money. So we have to keep an eye on that.
And the schools had access to other grants called ESSER grants, so I may be confusing the two. But those grants are gradually going away as well.
Sue had a question in the back.
I've been asked this question so many times, and I'm glad you guys are here. The megabucks money, does that still go towards education?
Yes.
I have been asked this question so many times, so 100% still goes to the educational funds,
Yes.
correct?
But there's less and less because that money has been less use of that program. So it's been dropping.
It's been dropping, okay, because I've had that question addressed to me quite a few times, and it is dropping.
So they were taking money out of transportation fund, it's still, and putting it into education too. And our transportation budget was hurting.
Yes.
So they've been, taking what, 50 million or something? I don't quote this off the top of my head, something like that, but a big chunk each year of our budget. And things have dropped off.
I think we feel like our property taxes is the only thing that goes towards education, but that's not correct at all. Our property taxes go to education, but also a portion of sales and use, meals and rooms. There's some of the lottery money.
I didn't know about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think one, there's some other,
Administration.
yeah, there's some other tax too that goes to education. So it's not just our property taxes that are going towards education.
So there's a lot that feeds in.
Again, if it eats up, if it gets too big, if it keeps growing as a proportion of the total budget, then our roads going to maintain. Our roads start to suffer, and they're suffering in other places, right? So we have to be smart about our thinking so that we make sure that all the different functions of government, all the things that are needed to have functioning, we have money to do it. And we can't allow just one segment of the state government to eat up all the money.
If everybody dips into the pot, eventually one area is going to suffer.
Yeah. And I think right now transportation is the one that's really suffering. We have a colleague from Swanton who's chair of transportation in the House, and he can give you a whole presentation on what's happening with the transportation budget, and it's really concerning.
You know Matt Walker, he's chair of transportation in the House.
So, our school district just put out that with the new funding formula that we're doing for school budgets, our school district is going to go up, projected to go up. I think it's projected, I don't know what it's factual, 10%. How does that fix the problem? You know, our school district knows that it's hard to pass a budget, wants to be fiscally responsible for our people, our taxpayers, and then it gets an equalized pupil cost. You know, can't there be legislation put in place where some of these school districts that are spending astronomically more than that, what it was before this law goes into place, cut 10% of their overhead costs? I mean, it don't make any sense to me.
So part of what you're talking about is presumptuous that funding formula will pass, because that has not been put in place. The funding formula, it's called the foundation formula, can't go into effect until a whole bunch of other criteria are met, including these maps and the voting wards for the new school districts. Those are just two things that have to be met before any funding formula goes into place. So try not to put the cart before the horse and worry about your property taxes going up 10% as a result of that, because we don't know if that's really going to happen. And those were projections that some economists made based on what everybody around the state is spending. There will be spending guardrails. Every town will get an amount of money if the foundation formula happens. Every town, every school district will get a certain number, a certain dollar amount per pupil, and that's all they're going to get. If they want to spend more in building a hockey rink, or they want to spend more and hire 5 new teachers, they're going to have to put that to their local voters, and their voters are going to have to vote yes, that they want their property taxes to go up more than that to cover whatever it is that the school board is proposing to do. So the big spenders right now aren't going to be able to keep doing their big spending unless their voters approve that, and it won't be thrown into the statewide pool like it is now. Like right now, we pay for whatever the wealthier towns want, basically, because we all get put in the same pool. And there will be people waiting that will continue to take place. Like if you have a district that has a very high percentage of non-English learning students or high poverty, you're going to get your students are going to get a bigger weight, so you're going to get a little extra money for each of those students if you have high needs like that in your community. That's still going to continue to happen. But everybody's going to get capped at $1 amount per student, and it's going to be an equitable dollar amount. And if Plainsburg and you want to raise money for a third gymnasium for your high school, you're going to have to do it on your own dime.
Please try to find it where it was factual in the law or something.
It's
What they put in
it's
now.
not yet.
I couldn't find anything. So.
And just as an aside, I think there are 48 states right now that use some form of foundation formula. We will not be the first, we will actually be one of the last if we do that. No one in the United States funds education the way we do.
Trying to think how to word this. I've said it before, I listen to talk radio a lot, I call in a lot. It's the only way to get my gripes across. But I put it out there, and I know a lot of local politicians and others listen to the talk radio in the morning, AM 620, because I've heard them on there, and they call in too. I said it before, there's 50 other states that are doing it better than we are. Why are we not adopting one of their foundation formulas?
I think that's something they're going to look at,
Yeah.
you know, what other states are doing. There are similarities amongst the states, like, you know, you might have 5 states that are doing something similar, 2 states that are doing something totally different, but it is a foundation formula. We're just going to have to pick whatever works best for Vermont. And honestly, there's a lot of pushback on that because of local control, because of the fact that we are so localized that we want to control our own school budget. Highgate wants to control what kind of money you're spending on Highgate
So then you
students.
ask the question, do you really have any control when you go forward maybe $1 million out of this also? Do you really have any control? Or is it just a feel-good thing?
We don't have a whole lot of control over school budgets right now. I mean, since probably not even Act 46 before that, we probably don't have a whole lot of control over our own local school budgets anymore. But there's still that concept. It's like holding on to town meeting too. We want to do that as well. How many other states in the United States do that? Probably very few. So I think we're getting there, but it takes Vermont a very long time to give up tradition, even if tradition doesn't make sense financially. And we're very proud of our traditions. And we're proud to be the ones that are holding on to them. So that's tough for many people. And these are just ideas that never will fly in the legislature. It took the governor saying we have to do something to get it kick-started.
But I'm after them. And when it comes on the floor and they come up with a formula that doesn't make sense and tell me the statistics of this or that, and I caused a hiccup with them this year.
Yeah, Wayne asked a lot of really good questions.
I get irritated.
Thought-provoking questions.
I feel that things should be managed in a business-like manner, like you own a business and you're managed like a business. But a lot of people, especially in state government, oh, this is state government. We got money to burn. And so it's that kind of attitude thing. I feel that we need to be managing based upon facts and good business practices.
Need to be responsible.
We need to be responsible. We need to be looking at the whole big picture, and it shouldn't be the emotional thing that, oh, we want to hold on to this because we feel that we have control. Well, we don't have very much control. And if you're feeling that you got control and you really don't, and it's costing way much more money than what it should, or we can't do other really important things that we should be doing, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot.
Common sense.
And I do think that those days of free and easy money are over, and everybody is kind of seeing the handwriting on the wall. We've had a number of emails kind of warning us that we're going to have to tighten our belts, and people's pet projects might have to go by the wayside. or something that you always wanted funded, you may have to change your mind and not have that funded because there just isn't the money there anymore.
I got one last comment. I'd love to be able to see you guys go there this session, pass a 2-year budget, and take every other year off because the only thing that comes out is more laws that cost more money.
You know, I've heard that many times. You're not the only person who said
I
that.
thought of moving to Texas.
But yeah, it would make sense because we're a very small state. We have a very small budget compared to most states. And we really don't need to be there every year thinking up new things to pass laws about. You are very correct.
Texas is every other year.
Yeah.
And
All the big states have reasonable legislative timelines.
Do you think that they'll fund any of the state ethics?
Good question.
We can talk later too.
Yeah, at this point, the prevailing feeling was no, because appropriations had the chance to fund some more positions in the Ethics Commission and did not find the money. There were other more important things that they were putting their money to.
I mean, you think of the murders that we've had in the state in the last 5 years. When we were kids, 50s and 60s, if there was 2 murders a year, that was a big deal, right? We've got mental health issues. We've got all kinds of drug issues. We don't have a state hospital anymore for mental health people. So I mean, if we were going to do this right, I mean, this whole homeless or the hotel program that came in, I asked hard questions on that one. I asked them, how many children do you get in those hotels? 400. How many deaths have they had in those hotels in the last period? 168. So you get drug dealers in there, you got illegal aliens in there, you get children in amongst those who are dying and doing drugs. So these need to be parsed out. You need to have the children, a place for them to go where they're safe and taken care of. The mental health people should be going to treatment. The drug people should be going to treatment also. And if they don't go to treatment, then they shouldn't be getting any services. I mean, we should have a system there where it parses them out, people are safe and they're being taken care of. And my estimate is we spent between $500 million and $1 billion on these hotel programs on homeless in the last 10 years.
So back to ethics, just so you know, we passed a law to allow for the Ethics Commission to do their investigations, but no enforcement and no enforcement personnel. So it was really a flawed law to begin with. And then to ask for money again after the fact, even though the law was flawed to begin with. They had way, in appropriations, they had way more issues than they had money for. So I think maybe to go back to the original ethics laws and really take a look and understand what was meant to be accomplished by them and how to work through it with the personnel that they have. Because there are other organizations like VLCT offers ethics counseling and help with those issues as well. So to have a state level ethics office for municipalities, I'm not sure makes the best sense, best use of our money.
I think we have about $150 million of budget requests of what we have money to put out this year, right? So there was a list this long of requests that we had, that we went through a process where we said, yeah, these are priority, and we chop that down to the ones that we could actually fund. And so can't do everything. There were some other things that were good things that you know, probably would be nice to fund, be very, very nice to fund if we could. But, you know, when you're trying to balance a budget, we have to make choices, and some things, written into law, we have to fund them.
Yeah.
We have no choice. And so then you get down to a certain amount of discretionary money that can be used for things, and there's another 150 million of discretionary money people would like to spend.
And I think sometimes people don't understand how the budget works too. We have a statutory requirement that we have to balance it, so as much money that goes out has to come in. And what happens is that all the state agencies give their asks, like we need 1.5 new employees, or we need
Vehicles.
3 new vehicles or something like that. So that all comes in, all goes to the appropriations committee, and then they ask other committees like mine who deal with these agencies on a day-to-day basis, what are your recommendations? Which one should we fund? Which one shouldn't we, and why? And we have to be very specific about why we would recommend funding or not funding something. And then they take it all and they put it out on the table and they weigh it, and they have to have the two sides weigh. The money that's coming in from taxes and fees has to equal the money that's going out. And if it doesn't, the tax committee has to raise taxes and fees, and nobody really wants that.
Appropriations committee, see, I don't go on the floor very much, and most of the state committee, and our committee meets 5 days a week instead of 4 or less, and we have a steady line. It starts on the first thing in the morning, and we have people coming in to testify constantly for the whole year. There's only a little short period of time we don't have anybody coming in to testify.
One other thing, close since you're here, I was going to do this in other business, but since you're here, this is a good news story to our little town and Swanton and general area and your constituents. But the airport improvement project where we got the extra 1,000 feet, and then we said we're going to be able to bring in a little bigger airplanes and that kind of thing. Found out yesterday that these are flying in there now.
Oh,
So we've actually had 2 air ambulances come in and actually fly patients down to Boston. So that's one advantage to the water run here.
that's amazing. I hope you can get some press on that.
That would be good, I guess. But
That would be a really great story, because everybody was like, oh my gosh, there's going to be big planes coming in. Oh, they're not that big.
That's not as big as
And
they
this
get.
is actually doing some real good
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
the area. That's awesome.
I heard there was a Dartmouth helicopter that came over too.
Great.
So,
Good to know. Thank you for telling us
You're welcome.
that.
Good news from Highgate.
It's been a long project.
Yeah, it
Long
has.
time coming.
Are we ready for salt contracts?
Yeah, so thank you for the updates, and
Thank you for having us.
feel free to preach Highgate down to the state level. We have all these projects going on, and
If you need a list and how much we need, let me know.
Highgate is a real success story.
Doesn't hurt to let me know what you need for money that goes to appropriations.
That's right.
I might not be able to do anything, but when it comes down to the deadline there for the last minute, when we're horse trading at the table there for what's going to be cut out and get in, sometimes I can get something. You got 15 million cut out. It's not the finger at the end.
we might extend some water up to the center of town.
Water, you face water.
Water.
Yeah, more water.
Water.
Oh, well, we got a lot going on, that's for sure.
But we can't do anything if we don't know.
Absolutely.
Water and wastewater.
Oh, and the arena, and all of our other projects.
Yeah. Village core.
The whole list you went through on there.
Oh, and 3 more pages of it with, we got a lot of good stuff going on.
There's a bunch of it goes through, some of it will go through my old committee that was on institutions to corrections, so a lot of that money, capital money will come into that.
Is Sean Smee still on that committee?
He is. And James Gregoire from Fairfield is vice chair of that committee now.
And from St. Albans,
I'm trying to think who's on for St. No, doesn't, yeah. I'm drawing a blank.
Pretty guy.
Oh, the new
Oh,
one?
Joe Luna, sorry. Joe
Is Joe the one that was getting stopped?
Pardon?
Is Joe the one that was getting stopped?
I don't think so.
Uh,
I don't know.
I spent a day in that committee, so, well, come on. I'll show you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well,
Yeah, so you've got friends on corrections and institutions, and you hear that and you think prisons, but it's way more than prisons. It's every state-owned building, every state-owned property.
Freddie will be in touch.
Okay,
sure will.
Thank you again.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
So,
Salt contracts. Okay, you've got 2 contracts
Thank you again.
ahead of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that our wish list? Is that our wish list, you just saying it?
No. Yeah. So we have 2 contracts. Oh, I don't know where they are. I probably gave one to you. Quoted prices for salt needed by Public Works. This is a Public Works request. Yeah, those are the ones that you're gonna sign. Basically, there are 2 contracts this year to allow flexibility in their ability to order, have delivered, etc., etc. So since there are 2 separate contracts, we're requesting 2 separate motions. One is a total of $57,000. The $57,000 is if we bought all 600 tons from that individual, because 600 tons is the expected amount to use this winter, and that is at 95.69 per ton. At 600 tons is the $57,000, $57,576. That's Compass Minerals. Cargill quoted combined total of $68,000 at $100, 103.50 per ton at 550 tons for salt, and then their additional 117.25 at 100 tons for enhanced de-icer. So those are 2 separate contracts that allow for flexibility in the ordering, delivering, etc., for Public Works, because I hear that last winter someone ran out of salt. I almost said ice. We didn't run out of ice.
No, there was a salt shortage last year, so Nick is covering all bases and not wanting to be struggling like St. Johnsbury did last year. Also, the more expensive de-icer salt is supposed to melt it faster, and you're supposed to be able to use less, which is why you would like to try it. If it works, we should actually bring our costs down, even though the cost per ton is more. And if it doesn't work, then we would like to go back to the Cargill at the cheaper price. With the standard salt we always buy.
any thoughts on that?
Where is the Compass, where are they at?
It should say
I've been looking,
on there, Canada, I believe. Yes.
I knew I heard that, right?
Canada.
Yeah.
I can't remember if they bought a company, right? They're new. They bought someone out.
Okay.
So the name changed.
So I gotta, is this turf gonna be involved in it any?
That cost must include that, because that's what we are signing that we are paying.
Okay.
So it won't change.
Right.
Okay.
That's- You're signing
Locked
at
in.
that cost.
We're locked in, yeah.
So that's a good thing. Okay.
And that's the more expensive de-icer, that if it doesn't work the way they promise it will, he's not going to use it anyway.
So that's a more,
Yes, it's more of a trial, but also signed backup
Right.
if in the event Cargill has a shortage this year.
green sense.
And that's the other thing.
That's Cargill. Yes, that's Cargill. Yeah, I know.
It'd be nice.
I knew they were. I saw it.
I make the motion to approve Compass Minerals for $95.69 per ton.
Okay, got a motion, got a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Oh, no. Doesn't move too fast. Okay.
Is that all yes, is that a no?
That one, no.
Okay, so that was for Compass, and now we need a motion for Cargill.
I make the motion to approve the proposed salt contract from Cargill for $103.50 per ton and $117.25 respectively.
You get a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
3 and 4 and 1.
Yeah.
Again, 4-1.
So motion's passed.
Do you have another solution to salt, Richard, that we don't know about?
No, I don't. Just,
Okay.
it wasn't going in there quick enough. These guys are moving too fast, that's all.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm just-
No, it wasn't getting registered in.
Okay.
Oh, my computer was on
Delay.
delay.
And fill in the rest of it.
I can.
We understand, Richard. We understand.
Okay, moving on to fire department. So continuation from last meeting's conversation of the new truck.
So we got the final price as of now is, we talked to Danny last week.
Last Tuesday it was.
They came up, they did drop too much, so it's at $589,165.
589,165. Okay.
And that quote's good for 60 days. Before. So, yeah, so it'll expire sometime in November. And after that,
Then it goes to that different DEF system, is it?
There's that, and then there's also the,
Tariffs.
no, well, it is partly that, the E1 price increase that dropped yesterday.
it'll go up 4.5%, which is another $26,000, roughly. This is for the pumper tanker. Pumper tanker. My thought is with getting this new one, we'll get rid of the tanker, and it's also going to take some user time off engine 2, which is 19 years old. Luckily, I've not had any problems with it, and we're just going to try to keep it that way. Other than, actually, I don't think we have any major problems with engine 2. Just a little tiddly stuff.
Ty, you had a question?
Just because I don't know, what's the difference between a pumper and an engine?
It's the same thing.
Okay.
So we're trying to go all pumper tankers because the town's getting bigger and there's going to be times that we're going to be needing to go one here, one there, where we're going to need to pump one each truck.
So this is a similar setup to the same truck you just purchased, the new truck.
Correct. It's kind of in between engine 1 and 2. Not so fancy, but we'll get the job.
That's what we allocated. So, 2 years, that's what we allocated for. So right now we're about 50 less than that.
Do we
But we're
have a
about
problem?
over 3 years, so it's going to be. Ain't gonna be enough for that.
Do you guys have any ideas?
I think you should move or else it's gonna cost you a lot more.
But
Because all the, even we've looked, a newer used one, we're still looking at 500,000 because the trucks are bigger.
what would it be if, with the situation we're in, what if we went just a tanker right now?
It's not really going to do as much. It's just all water.
Yeah, but that's really,
I'm thinking
that's what you got now, is what I'm saying. You know, you got a tanker now, and you got 2 tanker pumpers, where in the past, we didn't have 2 tanker pumpers. I think we're still ahead of the game, Gary, because now we got 2 tanker pumpers, where before we had 1 tanker pumper and two tankers and something. We had a mini pumper, which it didn't hold much. It wasn't fit for what we needed.
So now what happens when engine 2 goes down because it's 20 years old? Where's that gonna lead us? Because we're keep on putting more pressure on it.
And you gotta remember, Richard, the fires are burning faster and hotter,
Yeah.
and they're adding more houses. You're going for growth, and we don't have a whole lot of water in town anymore.
Right.
It's a problem.
You know, but are we going to have to bring water? You know, we don't have hydrants either. You know, that's a big thing where we're going to have to bring in water. And I understand what you're saying now. You know, it just that I'm looking at the.
Well, here's the other problem. We should be putting more money away. Look at engine 2. That's 19 years old. We only have $130,000 to replace it.
Yeah.
We can't replace it. We can't even get a chassis for it.
Right.
I was just gonna ask, was your thoughts to combine the 112.5 and the 135 for this new truck? What was your thoughts on funding it?
We have to budget more for the next.
So not combining the two to get the
Well, if we
one.
had to, that's fine.
But Gary, what's bothering me is, Gary, I know the townspeople have been pretty lenient, and they've gone with the fire department, but I'm nervous that I don't want it to get turned down. It's just.
If it gets turned down, we'll think of something else, because it's not only doing that, it's also putting us in jeopardy.
Right,
And if you're putting a head price on our heads, well,
I'm not putting a price on you guys' heads. It kind of brings us all in, where are we going to get that money? If the taxpayers say no, do we go to a tanker? I don't know, Gary.
like I said, I mean, we should have been putting away a lot more, but we tell them we want this, it gets dwindled and dwindled.
Yeah.
So then this is where we're always in the problem.
And you don't wanna,
Time after time, we tell you, but we're always in the problem.
Yeah.
you don't wanna settle for what isn't gonna serve you in the future.
Right.
And
So,
it is a hard pill to swallow.
But if we were to put money away the same amount for all the trucks, we wouldn't be in this bind.
But,
And it wouldn't be raising any taxes over the several years.
right, I understand that, but I think if we put more money away, I think it would get turned down. You know what I'm saying?
But if we keep it consistent-
we tried to be,
Which I get, but we're always gonna be in this bind.
yeah. But we are consistent. I think we're better than consistent I think what we're doing is, see, this just came up within the last year or more that we want to do away with the tanker and go tanker pumper. So I think we're consistent on what we're doing, but now we want to, I don't think we were expecting 3 tanker
If we were more
pumpers.
consistent, we wouldn't be having this problem.
Yeah, but I think what I'm saying is, Gary, we should have this should have came up ahead of time, where it just seemed like getting rid of that tanker pumper just came up within getting rid of that tanker just came up within the last year,
When
you
you got
know.
water coming out of the back where it's not supposed to, what
Right.
are you supposed to do?
I know.
You can't predict it.
No, I know, I understand that, but I think as a board, maybe, I won't speak to, I'll speak for myself, I guess. I think was trying to look at keeping what we had, and we did better when now we got 2 tanker pumpers, but like I'm trying to say is I don't think we were brought up to snuff on what, you know, do we need a tanker pumper or do we need a tanker? And it's always been the talk, we do need a new tanker. But, you know, and now we want a tanker, a 3rd tanker pumper and that.
But honestly, Richard,
Yeah,
look at it this way,
yeah,
you're gonna get a tanker pumper
yeah,
for the price you're gonna get a tanker. Because if we price a tanker today,
yeah.
It's not gonna make much
we're
difference.
gonna have the chassis increase, and then we're gonna have the overall increase. So we'll be getting the same thing, well, a different thing for the same money.
Well,
Guess we need to see that to understand it better.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because our quote is good and won't include those increases, correct?
Right.
You follow? So if we get a new quote, it is going to reflect those increases. So you're getting less and for the same dollar.
But we don't know that because we don't have that price.
Oh, it will, because by the time this gets all said and done, they won't be able to put a chassis together by the end of '26. And when they do that, it's gonna be a different motor, different chassis, because of the emissions. They're changing emissions.
You're saying for just a tanker?
Correct.
Correct. It might end up being more than what we're trying to get, just because of the change that they got coming out of '27.
You know.
But that change is going to affect whether it's a tanker or whether it's a tanker pumper, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But we have the price now that we can walk into.
I got to tell you, it's going to be a hard pill to swallow in the community.
If I was sitting there, I'd need you to get that quote.
Our community expects us to give them comparisons. I mean, when we go buy a town truck, and maybe I'm wrong, but we always go for 3 quotes so that we can compare. We're not doing that out of courtesy to the convenience, I get that, but we still have to show the townspeople that we did our due diligence. And I don't feel that we've done that with just getting 1 quote.
And then a follow-up conversation, if I was in your role, would be like, if it's a huge difference, you know you need to replace engine 1, 2?
Tanker.
What's the oldest engine?
2.
2.
I don't, that's the thing, it's doing good, so I don't want to replace it because it's.
Right, but what I would ask is that you fund the CIP that it's a 5 to 6 year replacement of that, and know that you got some money to spend, but.
I agree with you, but they gotta base that truck, and I was gonna say afterwards. You guys didn't put enough money, the select board didn't put enough money in the CIP. If everybody asked what they wanted, and you got boards that knock it down, knock it down, knock it down, so you're not even covering the cost. The boulders, I'm sure, all what we asked on it. You gotta have it, one way or the other, you're gonna have to have it. But you're not putting enough money away, because everybody's up there, sitting up there, you're afraid that the boulders aren't gonna vote it. Give them a chance.
Because this is what's gonna happen. You guys say, no, you wanna do this, all these trucks are gonna die. Guess what? Now you're gonna have to contract out because we don't have a truck to run. That's gonna be the other problem. And you know what they're gonna request? The contract fee and the truck.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying, and you're missing it too, Keith, we didn't put aside because what we were saving for, or what we were trying to replace is a tank. This didn't come to us until last winter, last fall, that this is the problem we got. This wasn't brought up. This probably should have been brought up at town meeting last year and to the voters and going to it. All of a sudden, but we didn't know it, that it was going to happen until after town meeting that you guys wanted this. That's the problem that I'm
didn't
seeing.
have a problem with the truck until well after town meeting.
Right, but I guess, and so do we try to rig up a tanker to get us by for, and rig up a tanker where it's not going to cost us much and get us by and start saving for that third pumper?
I think if you get on something, okay, I'm gonna do this so it's not gonna cost us much, it's foolish.
Well,
number one, it's not gonna be safe. Because when you're buying a used tanker, it's used. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see a tank like we have that's doctored up, it's gonna fail it. Because if we repair our tank, guess what, the rest, it's gonna fail somewhere else.
Once we peel it apart, it's done.
It's a big decision, and if you look at the CIP, that truck is scheduled to be replaced in 2028. Guess what? We order it now, it gets replaced in 2028. It hasn't historically been funded. I don't believe it was even in the CIP till 2 years ago.
It took a long time for the fire department stuff to be added in. Too long.
It must have, because the money we're putting away for it every year is huge compared to other allocations. 75,000 over that truck every year to try, because we're catching up to make the.
That's the intention.
Yeah.
Because look at the ones technically engine 2 is supposed to replace. We pushed that out a few years, which it's going good, so I don't need to push that one.
So I think we might have talked about this a meeting or two ago, or maybe even at the meeting when you guys brought this up initially. There was some talk out there, don't laugh me out of the room, for the 98 tank, the one we're going to replace that's got the leaking tank, the plastic tank. We did a field trip after the last meeting. We went out there and take a look at it because I haven't really looked at it up close. It looks like it's in fairly good shape. I forgot how many miles are on it.
Which one?
The 98 tanker, the one that's, or no, I'm sorry, not that one, the single axle out here.
I don't know.
The DPW's got.
Is it 60,000?
Was it? I didn't look.
Yeah, I don't.
Not that I'm a car expert, or a big truck expert, but it looked in very good shape. And there was some talk that we might be able to take that dump box off it and put a used or even a new tanker box on the back. Has that been brought up to you guys at all?
Ben actually had mentioned it to us.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on that? Assuming it's just a good rig. Assuming it's a good rig, would that be a viable option?
I remember the contractor said no one would touch it.
He said, we won't do it. Those were his words, we won't do it.
Just one contractor, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's probably not too many that would do it. I don't know.
Okay.
Is it standard or automatic?
Automatic.
And that's one of the other ones that's like part of the reason the other half is because I got guys that can't drive standard.
Right.
Personnel.
Right.
Or
So-
just,
Shelley, when do we normally order it? If it's due in 28, when would we normally
It
allocate
all
that money?
depends
Because
on
it's
what it
figured
is and
out.
how long it takes to come in.
Okay.
So that was my next question to Gary and Ralph, because I hadn't been part of the conversations about this.
because out.
2.5 to 3.
And what kind of down payment do they require? They require all the money up front.
No, not all of it.
Usually a small amount.
Small amount and then the rest.
That's a reasonable deposit.
Just because we usually pay for the whole truck. I hear other towns that do, I think children is like increments. I don't know if it's monthly or bi-monthly or half a year or how that works. But I know we like to just pay it off and be done with it.
Okay, but we don't have the money right now. That's a problem. But do we have enough money to order it right now is what I'm asking.
Yes.
If they are buying a pumper tanker and they plan on keeping engine 2 longer because of this new pumper tanker, and the tanker is what is going to be eliminated from the department,
Correct.
you would have to combine, in order to get this truck in that time frame, both of your CIP line items for the tanker and engine 2 to have $562,000 by fiscal year 27-28, which is when it would be available. That's when it would be ready for pickup.
About 28, yeah.
That's combining both engine 2 and the tanker.
Are you talking taking that money from engine 2 and throwing it into?
It would have to be a vote for engine 2 to be combined with, those 2 line items to be combined in order to,
Like 30,000, just because we only been putting.
because that's, right, so that's $105,000 a year for the next 3 years, plus the $135,000 they already have for engine 2 and $112,500 for the tanker, which would be $562,500 at the end of the next 3 years. And it would be another $105,000 fiscal year 28, 29, depending on what part of year 28 that truck comes in.
Right.
So we got money in the CIP to get you the tanker. That's allocated, and it looks like we're gonna do that. That money we can meet. But the pumper tanker, that's, if I did the math right, it's like 104,000 more, which we don't have in the CIP. The whole purpose of the CIP is to prevent a shock to the system for budgeting, you know, just like at home, emergency car repairs, that kind of thing. Nobody wants that. So we're gonna do this, we gotta figure out a way to make up 104,000. I mean, we could allocate another 25 to that every year and make that $100,000 over the next, well, next 4 fiscal years to hit the money you need for the $589,000 pumper tanker.
It'll be more than that in 4 years.
Yeah,
A lot more.
but if we order it now, the price is locked in, right?
Yes.
60 days, right?
60
What's that?
days.
60 days.
So it'll probably be around about November 15th.
So I guess the question is, yes, I'd say we do need a new tanker, or at least,
They're on the 18th.
but the pumper tanker part, the extra 100,000 is gonna be the rub. And
Where did that 100,000 come from?
that's, so, there's,
They haven't priced out a tanker.
oh, they haven't priced just a straight tanker yet? Oh, okay, okay.
That's what the conversation is now.
Oh, well, we need a price on the tanker.
By the time that happens, it will be probably more than the pumper tanker.
So why'd you just price the pumper tanker and not both, so we compare apples to apples?
If you needed that, you should have asked.
Well, that's what we have in the CIP. So yeah, we do need that. We do need the pumper only price, or not the pumper, the tanker only price.
So,
Can you have that before your meeting with the planning commission?
yeah,
That's really where this conversation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah, the planning commission is gonna,
Huh? Why not?
Because it took them over a month to get a price for this one.
Tell me we need it expedited if they want our money.
So Shelley, if we decide to combine both, doesn't it have to go to a vote?
That would have to go to a vote. I mean, it can be a
Yeah.
special vote, or it could be,
Because
yeah,
we're
I mean,
changing.
at this point, it would have to be. We don't have a vote in November.
Right, so we'd have to
Yeah,
change the CIP.
I'm fighting myself on that.
so So really, we couldn't order this truck in November? Technically?
We have to have the vote to allocate the money from one line to the next.
What's
60
that?
days, 60 days,
Yeah,
Richard.
yeah, 60 days, but are we gonna have to get a public vote, is what I'm saying?
To take the money from
that
one.
money.
Yeah, so in other words, we got, is 60 days enough to have a public vote?
Really need more than 30.
Okay.
And then we said polls for 12.
Are there any other companies that we can go through for a truck like this?
What's that again?
Are there any other companies that we can go through for a truck like this? I know you guys like Desorcy.
There are, but they have to fly in from out of town.
Yeah.
Like out of state.
But it's more information that we can put out to justify going this route.
Got a nice little airport they can fly into. Got a nice little airport they can fly into. Real easy.
They'll add that on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll add that on too, yeah.
So I think we just need to get a little more information.
Yeah.
If you can get us any documents you can get, other quotes, plans forward, how we can move to get this truck, get that to us. You got
Well, they
this-
need it for the planning commission, because they're the real place that needs to go.
Should for the planning commission, should they have a tanker price too?
They should have as much as they can. in front of them.
Everything that we can get, that we can present.
Make the educated decision.
At
to
least
do that.
put the effort in.
Won't have 1 million.
But you can request it.
Sure, I can ask for a lot of things. but
That's all
realistically,
we're asking right now is,
Just because it takes a while. You know, you get what you want, they send it to Florida, and then you wait. And then they send everything back, you look at it, cross things off, and then you wait.
So
Okay, so let's just do it this way, a tank, or just a truck with a tank, nothing on it. Still gonna cost us,
we just need the numbers. You guys had this here at the meeting.
21st.
So I'd like to ask for a motion to continue this conversation on our first November meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I won't be here then.
I think we should postpone that to the next November meeting, not the
So
first.
the second meeting?
I'll be back on the
Okay.
15th.
Just gonna shorten this on the,
Meetings in November are the 6th and 20th.
you know,
And remember that our price is no good.
as of,
This
So the
will be
first-
Probably November
The-
15th.
Yeah, the first November meeting is the
So-
only November meeting
Yeah,
that will
it won't be
be good.
here.
The pricing we have now is no good.
okay.
Who knows where that'll,
Well, we need to discuss it at the November 6th meeting, to see if we can have somebody from the planning commission come in and talk about it. Just-
Now, when do they meet with the planning commission?
The
October
21st.
21st.
21st of October.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the Tuesday after your next select board meeting.
What's that?
It's the Tuesday after your next select board meeting. Right?
Looks right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Because it's a third
yeah,
Tuesday.
let's get as much information as we can, and we'll,
So if we pull the trigger on this, I know with the highway trucks, if they pull the trigger and order it and then don't get the funding, whoever they order it from, you just lose the truck and it goes to the next person because they can sell all day long.
It's a little
That's
different.
how I find out.
And the down payment.
But then it'd be
No,
a credit.
you're signing a contract to purchase it. I'm sure that you are bound by
Yeah.
that contract to purchase
It's
it.
a little different here, Ty.
And they
because-
don't care how you pay for it, you're paying for it.
Okay, I didn't know, that's why I was asking.
It's a
I was gonna
contract.
ask the same
It's
question.
a, it's a specific
Yes,
department need.
we could just get in line and then if we
This dealer would probably try to work with you, but who knows?
yeah. Only do so much, so
Yeah.
let's get this conversation continued on November 6th.
Did you finish the motion?
Yeah,
Okay.
So November 6th, we need a motion to have somebody from the planning commission come in and talk about the truck and whatever options. We also need to maybe look into grant possibilities or,
We wouldn't be able to order, if I start applying for grants now through the next 2 seasons of grant applications, you wouldn't be able to order anything until the grant is approved and funded. Yeah. So that would be, if we got one in December, we probably wouldn't be able to order until March or April. That's just how grant timelines go.
so
But who knows? Yeah.
so maybe grants for the replacement of engine 2. And we can look to combine the funds. But we have passed forward, so we need to finalize it.
Okay, can I ask one question
Go for
before we get moving? Okay, can you tell me what size these tankers will be for water? Go ahead.
1,800.
All 3 of them will be?
All three 1,800.
Okay,
That way it doesn't really screw up. If we don't need mutual aid, it won't screw up the relay.
okay, so they'll all be 1,800.
Because with the water being low, we talked to Swamp and they got this jet siphon that they could put down in East Highgate for us, so they would be doing the pumping.
Okay.
Are there any other local departments that may have bought a tanker very recently that you could get a cost estimate from?
The last
Sheldon
price I had was what, 428 or 482?
just purchased one, which they were 3 years ago, and that was
That was more.
582,000. And that was 3 years ago, which they got this year.
Is that a tanker, just a
It's a
tanker?
tanker pumper.
A tanker pumper.
This,
But they went a little fancier with the ladders, and we just went plain Jane. So between 3 years, what they have and what we want, it's just a little difference.
what I had shown you guys last year was, I don't remember if it was 428 or 482 at the time.
Yeah, I think it was, I remember being 4.
That was a stock tanker. But of course, that was ordered 2.5 years prior to last year. So the pricing increase, I couldn't tell you how much.
So,
Really, the emission's gonna kill us.
Yeah.
We kill everybody, every department.
so we need a motion to continue this conversation.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we'll continue this conversation. Up next,
So we don't need to be here the 6th, do we? November 6th?
we'll bring somebody in from the planning commission to maybe
I
go
will be in
over.
Ohio.
Yeah, somebody from the planning commission should be able to talk about.
Are you gonna be here, Ralph?
It can be, but I was hoping Scott would all talk.
Everything we're talking about on the 21st, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But just in case there's some questions, I think if you were here, Ralph.
Yeah.
So any other business?
Oh, we're all done?
We have to go into
Oh, yeah,
executive.
executive afterwards. All right, so continue on with my tradition of quotes. I came across this one, it seems to fit for today, even though it was said many years ago again. So this is from John F. Kennedy. Let us not seek the Republican answer or the Democratic answer, but the right answer. Let us not seek to fix the blame for the past. Let us accept our own responsibility for the future. All right, can I get a motion to exit the regular
I'll make that motion.
and go
I'll
into
second.
executive session pursuant to Vermont State Statute, Section 313,
You gotta invite me, Shirley, specifically.
inviting Freddie Hayes and Shelley for executive session to discuss specific personnel matters related to personnel policy update.
Thank you, everyone.
Did we get that motion? Did
What's that?
we get that motion
Usual.
to enter the executive for?
Yeah, he did.
We did, I seconded it.
All those in
Aye.
All right.